Thank you so much for joining us for today's Q&A session with the University of Buffalo MS in Management Faculty Director, Dr. Tim Maynes. Many of you submitted questions during the registration process, and we appreciate you taking the time to do so. We'll cover them during today's session before we open it up to other questions at the end. And I'll answer a few frequently asked questions before we get started. Just a few housekeeping tips. If you're not speaking today, please keep yourself muted for the benefit of others trying to listen to the session. If you have questions you'd like to submit during the session, please do so via the chat, and we'll be monitoring those questions and responding to them. And this session is going to be recorded. So within about a week, we will be sending it out to MS and management prospects and applicants so you can review it in detail and share it with any friends that might be interested in the program. So first of all, we had some questions about asking if the GMAT or GRE is required. No, the UB School of Management uses a test optional admissions process. You can upload a GMAT or GRE score report if it's a strong score report, but you are not required to do so. Someone had asked how long is the program and when do classes begin? The program is 11 months in length, so it's a great way to jumpstart your career. Classes begin in early July. Students take 6 credits in the summer, 12 credits in the fall, and 12 credits in the spring. Some students have asked if this program is STEM designated. The MS in Management program is not STEM designated. I just want to be transparent about that. But we do have other MS in our full-time MBA program that is STEM designated. But our MS in Management program is not STEM designated. We had some questions about course prerequisites and if work experience is required. So to answer that, no, there are not course prerequisites, and work experience isn't required to apply, but I'm happy to have Professor Maynes here to provide more detail on what a competitive applicant can bring to the program. Dr. Maynes?
Hello, everybody. I have a few slides I'd like to just share as we go through this together. Let's see. Hopefully everybody can see that.
They look great.
Very much looking forward to our session, our time together, to talk about the MS in Management and what it might offer to each of you. But first, I wanted to give a little bit of background on who I am. So as Megan mentioned, I am the incoming director of the Masters in Management program. I've been here at the University of Buffalo for about 12 years and have been teaching primarily in the full-time MBA program. I just concluded a 5-year term as the director of that program, so have some experience being involved in the administration and management on the program side, but I'm also a research faculty member. And I teach courses on leadership and working in teams and topics like that. Interestingly, you might find this to be interesting. In my background, I earned a PhD in organizational behavior and organizational psychology at Indiana University. But before that, I have kind of a non-traditional track into that career path. At a point in my past, I was an accountant, and I have a bachelor's degree and a master's degree in accounting. And then made a decision that I wanted to become a research faculty, and the topic that appealed the most to me at the time was organizational behavior, and so that's what I ended up doing. Anyway, so that's a little bit more about me. Now I want to give an overview of the program and dig into some of the details related to some of the items that Megan mentioned just a moment ago. The first thing I want to kind of cover is the course structure. Megan mentioned that it's 30 total credits, and there's a number that are core or required. There's a number that are elective, and I kind of want to break that down for you, just so you got to have a sense of what the experience is going to be like when you come into the program. So we're going to start over here on the left-hand side, and in what we call Summer 3. This is like the second week of July through the third week of August time frame. And I kind of like the summer start, honestly, because it gives you a chance to jumpstart the job market. So you'll come in, and when you graduate, it'd be in May, and you can go right into a job. And so I think that's kind of an advantage and an exciting thing. So you get a start in the summertime, and that's summer three. And in summer three, you'll have two courses, and they're both required courses, and they're really important required courses because they form the foundation for two of the three what we call focus areas. You might think of it as a concentration, but internally we call them focus areas. So we start with business operations, that's 3 credits, and marketing foundations, and that's also 3 credits. Because of the condensed time frame, this is a tight time frame. We're talking about 6 weeks of time. You really don't have time for electives. You're really going to be focused. And once again, I think that's a great thing because you're not distracted by a lot of different courses. You have two that you really focus on and get a good foundation in. And that sets you up then for if you want to focus or concentrate in one of those two areas. So if you're not familiar, business operations has to do a lot with like the supply chain and sort of internal processes related to running a business. Marketing is the other one there, and I think we're all pretty much familiar with what happens in marketing, but it's how do you sell the products or services that your organization offers? How do you earn your money, earn your revenue, and marketing helps with that function. So we start with business operations and marketing foundations, and then we're going to move to the fall semester. So it would be your second semester in the program, and we have it looks like 3 courses here, but you'll notice financial analysis is 3 credits, and then we have teams and teamwork, and that's a credit and a half. And then we've got a management communication course, and I'll describe more about the content in just a moment, but that's also a credit and a half. So it's really just like in the summer, there's 6 credits of core. And what that then allows in the fall, because you're going to have a longer time frame, you've got a 15-week semester, is you'll have room for 2 3 credit each courses that are electives. And across the total program, you'll have four total electives. And 3 of those hopefully, will be in your area of concentration. Once again, we'll talk about that more in just a few minutes, but just to kind of prime that and set it up. Let me describe a little bit here about this financial analysis course. For those who are a little less maybe quantitatively or mathematically inclined, don't be afraid of the financial analysis. I know that sounds kind of scary. This course, and more broadly, the program, is designed more at the level of a sort of a conceptual understanding of the various different areas of business, what we call the functional areas of business. So marketing and finance and accounting, how do all of these things fit together? And having an understanding of those different areas, so that as you enter the workforce, you'll understand how they fit together, how they function together, and can contribute in whichever area of responsibility you decide to take on in your job. But the finance class is a course that is not necessarily for someone who is going to be a high-level financial analyst out there. This is, once again, it's a fundamental, foundational understanding of the area of finance. You'll cover things like budgeting. How do you do that? How do you go through the process of establishing budgets inside of an organization, and why is that important for managing the organization? So that's the financial analysis. You'll notice as we go across this set of courses, there's not an accounting course, and that was kind of intentional. Once again, you're going to get an understanding of all of the different functional areas of business, but we're not necessarily looking to produce quantitative analysts, if that makes sense, out of this program. The teams and teamwork course is, I think, really, really critical to being successful in the job market in our current environment. And I think it's only going to become more and more important, which is what I'm talking about, is what we call interpersonal skill, leadership skill, team skill, the ability to work together effectively with other people. And there's a lot of survey evidence that we have that indicates that that employers place an incredible amount of value on the ability to work effectively in teams. In fact, there's a survey that's done every couple of years, where done by an organization called the National Association of Colleges and Employers. And what they do is they send out this survey, and it's got a list of like 40 skills. And the employers send it, I'm sorry, the universities send it to the employers, and they ask them, what are the skills that you need our university graduates to have when they graduate? What are the most important? Please rank this list of 40. What are the most important? And up until about 6 or 7 years ago, almost always the skills that would float to the top, that would rise to the top, were technical in nature. So, financial analytical abilities or computer coding abilities, these kinds of things. Um, but in recent years, what we've found in that survey is that the skills that rise to the top have to do with working in teams and communicating effectively, those two things. So what we think of as maybe softer skills, but they're at the top of what employers are looking for. So this is critical to us that we have something around teams and working together collaboratively with others. And then the next one is the management communication course. In this course, you're going to learn, you're going to have a lot of opportunity to actually be on your feet practicing making presentations. I know that sounds scary. We'll prepare you for it, and I think you'll find that you'll develop quite a bit of skill and capability in that area. There'll also be some of that course devoted to writing skills. Okay, so in the fall semester, you'll have a total of 5 courses. You'll have 2 electives to choose from. So let's say, for example, that you chose marketing as your focus area. Here in the fall, you'd probably want to have those 2 electives be marketing courses to set you up for both graduation and also to start interviewing for jobs come spring semester. So in total, you'll have 5 courses and 12 credits. Then in the spring, you'll have 2 more core courses, a strategic and change management course, and a leadership and ethics course. Each of those are 3 credits, so a total of 6 for the core. And then you'll also have room in your schedule for 2 more electives. And so here, if you have a concentration area that has like you need 3 electives in a particular concentration or focus area, and you've already taken 2 in the fall, then you would take another one in that particular focus area, and you'd have a 4th elective that you could kind of take in whatever area you want to. And so once again, we're going to have 12 total credits here in the spring. And let me just describe a little bit more about the 2 courses. So strategic and change management. The reason we put that into and I would say at a general level, we were very thoughtful about putting these courses together in a way that would give students who are graduating the skill and ability that are needed to be successful in their first job out of the program, and to kind of set them up for promotion and advancement very quickly, after that. Thinking of the next 4 to 5 years, and looking forward to promotions into leadership roles and so on. And one of the biggest challenges that leaders face in today's world, we're finding that in the business environment, the pace of change is very, very rapid, and it's increasing. And so one of the biggest challenges that leaders often face is leading change initiatives. We've got to change how we do things. We're responding to the market. We've got to develop new products and new services, and the old way of doing business doesn't work anymore. And so we've got to find out new ways. And so that's kind of what that course is about: is thinking strategically and then implementing those changes. And this course is designed to prepare that a student to take on, or a graduate to take on leadership roles fairly quickly after graduation. Then we have this leadership and ethics course. Right now, this is our capstone course, and this is a course that's going to, I think, challenge people's assumptions about what leadership is, provide a lot of understanding of the skills that are needed, some opportunity to train with those skills, to develop those skills, do some reflection and some writing. And then there's an ethical component as well. As a leader, you're probably not surprised to learn that the leader's behaviors set the tone for ethics inside of an organization. And so really critical, we think, to be covering that topic here. Okay, I'm going to pause here because it looks like there's a couple of questions maybe coming through. Megan, is there anything I can answer that's coming through right now, or are we good?
No, I appreciate the detail on the course descriptions. It's really helpful. There was a question asked about admissions criteria, which Kaylee posted a link into the chat. And then, Zemi, I'm trying to understand your question. So a bachelor's degree is required for graduate level study. We don't, um, if you have a bachelor's degree from an online university, that's okay. We don't discriminate versus online or in residence. But a bachelor's degree is required to then move into an MS or an MBA program. So I hope that answers your question.
Great.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Megan, feel free to interrupt me if there are questions you want me to jump on. So that's the structure of the program. It's 3 semesters. You're done in about 11 months, and in total, what you'll have here is off to the right hand side of this slide, you'll have 7 core courses for a total of 18 credits. You'll have 4 elective courses for a total of 12 credits, and then 30 credits across the program in total. And we think, once again, this is one of the valuable components of this program is that you're done in a year. You can finish pretty fast and set yourself up nicely for the launch of a career in business. Okay. Now I want to describe a little bit. Sometimes we get questions about how does the master's degree in management differ from a master's in business administration or an MBA, what we know as an MBA. So I want to talk about that for just a moment. And you'll see over here on the left-hand side of our screen that we've got different components of a degree. How long does it last? Its duration. Can you be a full or a part-time student? When does it start? Do you need work experience? What's the emphasis placed on quantitative skills? And then what's the sort of focus of the curriculum and career outcomes? So we're going to talk about those different criteria as it relates to a master's in management and MBA. Let me just start by saying there are some similarities too, and that's okay. I want to kind of point them out. Some degrees are designed specifically to for careers where the further you go into your career, the more content area expertise you have, and that's what leads to success. So think about, for example, someone who becomes a medical professional. They go to medical school, it takes 4 years, and then when they're done with that, they do a residency where they start to figure out what they're going to specialize in. And that might take them a couple of years, and they'll do an internship after that, and that might take another couple of years. And ultimately, they'll probably get about 10 years of total training before they actually kind of start their career. And they're very specialized. So they might be an orthopedic surgeon. And even within orthopedics, that's like bones. They might specialize in the bones of the face or the hand or the foot. And the further they go into their career, the more specialized they become, and the outcome of that specialization is that their expertise is sought, and they get paid more because of it. MBAs and the masters in management are different than that. As you rise in leadership roles inside of an organization, you do need some content area expertise. You start in a functional area of business. Maybe it's marketing, maybe it's operations, and maybe it's HR. Those are the 3 concentrations we have, our focus areas in this program. That's where you start. But as you rise up in an organization, the higher you go, and if you make your way all the way up to executive levels, you need to have a very broad understanding of the entire organization. You need to understand some level of accounting, and you need to understand finance to a little bit. You need to have an understanding of the operations and logistics and the supply chains. You need to have an understanding of how HR works and marketing and so on. And so when you get to be successful, the most successful in business, generally speaking, what you have is kind of a thin layer of understanding of all the different functional areas of business and where to go to get that expertise when you need it. But you need to have that broad understanding. So this program, the Masters in Management, along with an MBA, are designed to give you that broad understanding of business. And I think you kind of saw that as I covered the different courses that are part of the core in the program, or the required set of courses. Now, with that said, there are some differences between the MBA and the Masters in Management. Let me just describe what those are. So we talked about this already, but I'll just emphasize that again. This is a 30 credit program, the Masters in Management. You can take it full or part-time. It's in residence. The starting semester is the third, what we call summer 3, but just know that it's the semester just before the fall semester. So you go 3 consecutive semesters in a row: summer, fall, spring, and graduate. This is a program that is designed for early career professionals or those just completing an undergraduate degree. So prior work experience isn't necessary. And really it's designed for people without as much maybe business background, but wanting to make that transition into business. So it's going to give the fundamental business skills and management training for students transitioning into business. In terms of the career outcomes we might think about, I think this degree does a great job of preparing for entry-level business roles and for rapid promotion into leadership positions after that. So that's kind of how we think about the Masters in Management. Now, if we compare that to the MBA, we've got some significant differences here. So the duration is twice as long, essentially. It's 2 years instead of 11 months. It's 60 credits instead of 30. The MBA program that we've got some different offerings. Megan can talk more about those if you have questions about them. But the full-time program, that's an in-residence program, and it's full-time. Like, this is what you're doing. And the students, when they start that program, it starts in the fall. It doesn't have the alternative start for the summer. And generally speaking, this is a degree that is designed for people who have some level of work experience, generally about 2 years. So they've already got business experience and have a pretty deep exposure to business. And so what this degree is doing is it's preparing for more advanced, here at the bottom you'll see, for more advanced business roles and for promotion into mid-management or to senior level management roles, depending on how much work experience a person has. So one of the big distinguishing factors between these two is kind of the stage of a career that a person is in. Now, I'll add that it's twice as long. The full-time MBA is twice as long as the Master's in Management, and that second, that doubling of the credit hours is for specialization in a particular focus area. Most of that effort is spent into those concentration areas. Okay, so I'm going to pause here again, and if there are questions about the MS in Management versus the MBA, happy to answer them. If there's not, that's great. We'll just go right ahead.
Thanks. I think you can keep moving.
Okay. Oops. Now I'm going too far. Okay, so I want to talk about the focus areas that we have designed. And at a broad level, what I would say is that given the design of the program and where we think individuals graduating from this program can most make a contribution in the workplace, in the workforce, where they'll be most successful, we designed 3 specific focus areas. And it's also in part based on what we see as demand for different careers in the next, call it 10 years or so. If you look at the statistics from the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, what you'll find is that the three following focus areas are projected to grow significantly more over the next 10 years, up until about 2035 or so, at a rate of about 10 to up to 20% a year in each of these different focus areas. Career opportunities within each of the areas. And that's relative to a 4% growth rate for all other, on average, for all other careers. So we also see these as areas where there will be a lot of opportunity for jobs and advancement, so a good place to focus. Okay, so the first one is business operations. On the left, what you'll see here is some of the courses that you would take in your electives. So these are, the courses where you gain specialized knowledge, so that when you get into that first job after graduating, that you'd be able to hit the ground running. You're ready to go and to contribute. Then we'll talk about some of the jobs that might be available to a recent graduate, and clubs and activities where you can get involved and distinguish your resume from others. Okay, so off to the left, we have the different courses. And some of these I would say we're going to emphasize more than others. For example, project management. The demand for people who have project management skills is really increasing in the job market. So I would suggest if you're gonna focus in operations, that's one you'd want to star and take for certain. And it's a great course. But we have others as well. We've got sustainable operations if you're interested in sustainability. We've got operations and service management as an option. If you're interested in sort of international elements of the supply chain and operations, we've got global operations management as well. We have an entrepreneurship course listed here because if you do have an interest in launching your own business, there are a variety of resources available here at the university that I think are really unique and quite valuable. We have an entrepreneurship lab where you can take courses and get credit for actually working on your business. That's pretty phenomenal. Then there's competitions where you can pitch your business idea, and all sorts of cash awards and prizes available. So there's some really awesome things available if you're interested in launching your own business. Having the background in operations, the reason we put it here is because having that background in operating a business is pretty critical to being successful. So that's where we put this. But we have other courses here on inventory, on production, on managing the supply chain, and so on. Some of the jobs that you might be looking at in a year and a half or so, a year, when you're graduating from this program, buyer positions, assistant buyer positions, a procurement specialist, project coordinators, thinking of that project management course you might have taken, supply chain analysts. That is probably the area that's growing the most. I mean, not that that should drive your interest entirely. It should also kind of follow your strengths a little bit here, but supply chain is just growing leaps and bounds because of companies like Amazon and all this online retail and distribution. Supply chain roles have really, really grown. So that's just a sampling of the potential jobs that you might find. And then there are a couple of clubs that I just want to mention. There's a supply chain and operations club, and there's a sustainable business association as well. So I'll just stop here for a moment and plug getting involved in the extracurriculars. It's a great way to set apart, to distinguish your resume from everybody else, and to show that you do have a passion, that you are interested in something enough that you'll go above and beyond the coursework. And employers really value that. That demonstration of your willingness to put your work behind what you're interested in. Okay, so we're going to pause here again, and if there are questions about this or anything else, I'm happy to take those at this point. Or Megan, if I should just keep going, just give me the sign.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I think this is great information. The group is small enough. If anyone has questions, feel free to unmute. I think we've covered the majority of questions in the chat. So does anyone have questions specifically about the MS in management or the curriculum? If not, Professor Maynes can keep going.
I'm seeing a question here from Jeremiah. Maybe somebody's already replying to it about MS in finance and a background in agriculture from Jeremiah.
Yeah, I can reply to that.
Okay,
in
great.
The chat. Thanks. Okay.
Yes. So if there are questions, feel free to come on and just raise your hand or just speak over the top of me. That's fine too. However you want to do it. Okay, so that's the operations focus area. The next one I want to dig into a little bit is the human resource management area of focus or concentration. Some of the courses that you would specialize in if you were selecting this as your concentration, workforce engagement. So it's thinking about the entire workforce. I mean, when we're talking about HR, that's really what we're talking about is sort of the people side of the business and managing sort of all the systems and policies and so on that govern how we interact with and work with our employees. So we've got workforce engagement. There's a performance management course that's available. So when thinking about performance management, for those who have work experience, think about like the annual performance review, and there's been a lot of evolution in how we go about doing that in our modern workforce. So that course covers those kinds of things. Talent management. So how do you recruit, onboard, and help people to be successful as they come into your organization? Thinking about succession planning. How do you plan for, some level of turnover in the ranks of your leaders and also at the top level when people retire, who's going to be the next CEO and so on. So that's all under talent management. There's a course on people analytics. People analytics is a very popular and kind of a hot field out there in HR right now. So having an understanding of the different metrics that are used to measure how things are going inside of the organization relative to the people that work there. Thinking about things like compensation and productivity and so on. Then there's some courses that, although not necessarily specifically valuable just to the human resources concentration, we place them here because of their emphasis. When most of us think about human resources, we think about the people skills side of the equation. So we've got technical skills like understanding of finance and accounting and operations and so on, and marketing. And then there are these people skills. How do we get things done with other people? People who might be a little bit difficult to work with, or who need some mentoring and coaching, or you need to give feedback to somebody, but they're not going to accept it very well. So how do you go about doing that? So these are the soft skills, the people skills. And we have some courses in here. They would be available to the other concentrations as well, but I think they're particularly valuable for people going into HR. One of them that is super popular is we call it negotiations. People love this course because it is highly, and I would say this is true for almost all of the courses you're going to find in this degree. They're highly applied, but it's even more true for negotiations. Almost every class period, you spend some time actually being paired up with and negotiating with other partners. And you practice the skills that you've been learning in the course. And so people leave that course and they just rave about it because of the increase in ability and skill in that area. There's a course on power and influence. This is how do you lead in a way, using influence strategies and tactics and so on. There's the teams and teamwork course. So there's a number of options there. The jobs that you might be looking for upon graduation in the HR concentration, HR coordinator, HR associate, recruitment coordinator, talent coordinator, benefits administrator, recruiter, and so on. There are a couple of different options here in the clubs and activities. I'll just mention and point to this one specifically. The Society for Human Resource Management, also called SHRM. My experience has been that those who get involved with SHRM, is a pretty great experience, and it has a close connection to industry. And the reason it does is because there is an organization. It's the primary organization for human resource management professionals. It's actually called the Society for Human Resource Management, SHRM. And so there's a professional side to this. And if you're in the student side of it, then that's just a natural transition in to the professional side. And you'll already start to form the connections that will then draw you in there. So I think of that connection as being pretty powerful. So having that local chapter that's a student chapter for Society for Human Resource Management is a great benefit. Okay, let's go to the last concentration then. which is marketing. And once again, this is another area where there's a lot of growth, just like in operations and in HR. But you can imagine with all of the sort of shift in understanding how we go about marketing products and services in our world today. Social media, of course, is a big part of that. There's a digital marketing component to this. There's all sorts of evolution and change. And so a high demand for people with skill in this area. Some of the courses that you can you might be taking in your electives. I'll just maybe point out a couple of these. This marketing planning course is another course that students just rave about. It's a course where the entire semester is a simulation. You will design products. You will develop brands and strategies, and then you'll develop the actual ad campaigns and so on. And when you make these decisions, the market will react, and then you've got to change and adjust and adapt. And it is just phenomenal. Students absolutely love that course. Um, Not that these other courses are less than, but that's one that they have raved about. There's courses on product design, retailing. Now, I know some of you are saying, but I'm reading the news, and the news is saying that retail is dead. And you're thinking to yourself, the only place I buy stuff anymore is on Amazon, and I never go into the store. Well, the reality is it's really interesting. There is actually quite a resurgence in retail for specific sectors, there's some belief out there that there are going to be there's going to be a part of various different industries where retail actually makes a very strong resurgence because it's just not quite as amenable to e-commerce. Anyway, so retailing. Digital marketing analytics, a great course. Marketing research, consumer behavior, advertising and promotion. So a lot of different options there. Some of the jobs that would be available to someone graduating in with this concentration: a social media coordinator, junior account executive, marketing analyst, marketing associate, brand associate. There's a whole bunch of possibilities there. There are a couple of activities or clubs I would point to. The UB Marketing Association would be a great place to be involved. And then we have a behavioral research lab where they actually do research on various aspects of marketing. And they have in this, it's a computer lab, and it's really interesting because they have you may not be aware of this, but in marketing, like say you go into a grocery store, and the shelf space in a grocery store is very competitive, and the eye level shelf space is actually viewed as the premier spot. You actually want, and that's the spot that you want. Everybody wants their stuff there, and even more than that, they do research, a whole bunch of research on the packaging. And which packaging draws your attention with your eyes, and where do you spend the most time with your eyes? And in this lab, they have a software that's actually eye tracking software that marketing firms use to gain an understanding of where people actually focus their attention. So if you want experience into those kinds of things, so you can go into a kind of a marketing research type of organization, that's available as well in our behavioral research lab. Okay, so that's the concentrations or focus areas. I'm going to pause again as we transition to a couple of other kind of concluding thoughts here. If there are questions, happy to take them.
I think really it's just to reiterate that the MS in Management program is accessible and applicable for many undergraduate majors and backgrounds. It really can complement your undergraduate degree well and provide enhanced business skills and knowledge, especially with the 3 different focus areas that we offer to complement what you've already learned and move into a higher level role post MS in Management degree, or accelerate your career trajectory in the coming years. So I know there are some questions about having certain backgrounds and if they're eligible to apply. So absolutely. And Professor Maynes, I don't know if you want to add any more to that as well.
Yeah, I'll just add a couple of thoughts, and just mostly for emphasis, to emphasize what Megan has said. This is a program that was designed with people without business background and knowledge and training that's who we designed it for. And of course, if you have a little bit of exposure to business, this would also be a great program for you. If you've got extensive business experience, there's probably another degree option that would be a better choice for you. And Megan can talk about that if you'd like. But this was designed for people with diverse background, recognizing that each of those different functions, if you came from history, or you have a literature degree. There are critical thinking skills that you developed in those programs that are valuable in business. And what we're going to do is take those critical thinking skills and layer on top of an understanding of business so that as you enter the workforce, you're able to leverage your strength. And apply it in a way that would contribute and be valuable to businesses. So that's kind of how we think about this. And so if you've got a background in biology or chemistry or like I said, history or literature or economics or psychology or the social sciences more generally, I think this is a great degree for you. It's designed for students with that broad background and understanding. And once again, you'll have skills and abilities that you bring with you from that training, and we're going to layer on top of it the business knowledge and understanding, so that you can sort of accelerate your career. Okay, so I'm going to go on and just talk about a few aspects of the program that I think are worth noting and are kind of noteworthy. That I think contribute to accelerated learning. And the first thing I want to mention is that if you haven't been in a business school before, at a general level, in business school, we tend to take a much more applied learning as opposed to theoretical. And the reason for that is because when you graduate, businesses are going to expect you to understand what they're doing. And not from a theory perspective, like actually nuts and bolts, how to contribute and to perform various functions and roles. So what does that mean? It means that in the way that most of the courses are taught, you're going to have real world cases that are derived from, real world experiences. So you'll be asked to take the role of a decision maker in a case. Maybe you're a marketing manager and you're given a marketing campaign and it's full of flaws, and you're going to be asked to evaluate those and understand them and come up with a better marketing campaign. So we do cases, we do simulations, there's experiential learning exercises in almost every class. And when I say every class, I mean like almost every time you step into the classroom. There's a capstone course, and I'll talk about more about that in just a moment. But the capstone course has a project that's going to require that you integrate your knowledge across the different functional areas of business. Because remember what I said before, the master's in management is different from a medical degree or other specialized degrees like engineering. The thing that will lead to success is a broad understanding of business and how all of that fits together. And you'll need, a specific training in a functional area to get your first job, but to rise up in the organization over your career, you're going to need that broad functional area understanding and how things tie together. So that's the reason for the capstone project. There's also a case competition that's going to be tied to that capstone project, and so there's lots of opportunity to get your sort of get your hands dirty and approach the curriculum and the material from a very applied perspective. The faculty take that perspective, and so I think you'll appreciate that. The second thing is that as a faculty, we were very thoughtful in designing the curriculum. The core courses were designed specifically for this program. They're not offered in any other program that we have. They were designed for this program specifically and to form the basis of knowledge of the functional areas of business for people without much business understanding yet. So I think that's really important to recognize that this set of courses was designed, faculty came together, we approached industry partners, we talked to students, alumni, and so on, and tried to figure out exactly what students would need in order to be successful. And that's how we designed the core courses. Two of the core courses will have deliverables that require the integration of knowledge. So I already kind of mentioned that, but you're going to be asked to draw on your marketing knowledge and your operations understanding and your strategy and your finance, and need to tie all of those elements together. From a learning perspective, there's a lot of research on, what kind of environment creates the best learning environment. And one that really does is when you're asked to tie in these multiple elements together, it enhances learning and speeds it up. So that's another piece that I just wanted to emphasize. And then there's this capstone course that we have. I think it's going to be a phenomenal experience. We've got one of the, I mean, I shouldn't brag. I don't have favorites. I really don't have favorites, but the faculty member we have teaching this course has won multiple awards. He is a phenomenal instructor. And students just love it. They come away feeling like they've learned a tremendous amount. They've gained skill and ability. And once again, you're going to be asked to kind of tie in these different elements across the functional areas of business. So that is kind of the culmination of the program. Now I want to talk about just a few general opportunities for more accelerated learning. We have a program or a set of programs in the business school here. We call them global programs. They're not all necessarily global. Some are within the United States. But these are programs where you get to go and if, say, it's global, you might go to Costa Rica. And in preparation to going there, you'll have some courses on the culture in Costa Rica, what it's like there, the business environment, the economy, these kinds of things. And then you'll be partnered with a company, a local company, given a project, and you'll. I'm describing it at a general level, so there might be variation from one year to the next or the specific location, but this is generally how it works. You'll be asked to and given an opportunity to work with a local company, and they give you a business problem to work on, and then you go make a presentation to them. And so those are wonderful opportunities to be involved, to apply your knowledge and understanding, and accelerate your learning, and help your resume build your resume and stand out from others. I've already mentioned the Entrepreneurship Lab, which is the second bullet here. If you have any interest in becoming an entrepreneur, we have tremendous resources available. The university is well connected to the entrepreneurial community here in Buffalo, and there's just a lot of opportunity there. Then we have this other one called the Projects Clinic. And this is kind of a newer initiative, one that I'm really excited about. We have local area organizations that have a business challenge, and they'll come to the director of our projects clinic and say, hey, can you put together a team of students to work on this particular challenge for us and present back to us some solutions? And my understanding, Kaylee, correct me if I'm wrong, or Megan, is that you can be hired into the projects clinic and actually get paid. I mean, it's competitive to get those positions, but you can get paid to solve problems for businesses, and that's kind of fun. And you apply your knowledge right away. I've already mentioned a number of student organizations. There's a whole bunch more that I have not mentioned. There's a consulting group. I mean, there's just a lot to think about there. And then the final thing I'll mention is just case competitions. I think case competitions are a great way to accelerate your learning and development. And I'll just mention here from my own experience. A few years ago, it's probably been about 10 years ago, there was a student that I had in my MBA class who got together a group of friends, like he and 3 or 4 other of the members of the MBA class, and they decided they were going to go out to some case competitions. And there's a lot available. A lot of different business schools will host case competitions. So they decided they were going to do this. And one of the things that's kind of fun about the case competitions, if you perform well, if you finish first, second, or third, there's often money in it for you. So for the first place team might get like $3,000 or something like that. And so this student and his friends, they decided they were going to try to make some money at this. And so they invested a lot of time early on in competing in these competitions, and they started to win them. And then as they were competing, they got more experience and understanding of how to perform even better. And so then, as they went along, they probably won like 10 case competitions. And it was like their job. I mean, they were in school, but like their job was to win these case competitions, and they had a tremendous amount of fun. You probably wouldn't be surprised to learn that their post MBA career trajectory has been like this. Like it has been just rapid. And I think in part it's because they already had the initiative and drive, right? I mean, they chose to go out and be in these case competitions, but also the learning. Think of all that tremendous learning that they got from doing those case competitions. Anyway, so just another area or opportunity for you to accelerate your learning. Um, that's all I've got. I'm going to stop here. If there are questions, happy to talk about any other aspects of the program that we've been. Oops. Now I probably should stop sharing because I don't know what I just did.
No problem. So I think, thanks so much, Dr. Maynes. We included links into the chat on those things you were talking about in the last slide. In regards to focus areas, they're all in demand. That's why we've chosen these 3 focus areas for this degree. If you're admitted to the program, you'll have a dedicated academic advisor, a dedicated career advisor. Obviously, Professor Maynes is a faculty director. So there's going to be a lot of resources to assist you in determining the right classes to take based on your career goals. So UB and the School of Management offers a lot of support to our students in helping you determine the right fit as well. I think we've covered all of the questions in the chat. Does anyone want to unmute and ask a question that we haven't maybe covered? We have a couple of minutes, and just as a reminder, the session's being recorded and we'll be sharing it within about a week. So if you weren't able to join us for the entire session, you'll be able to watch it all the way through within about a week.
While we're waiting here, if somebody wants to unmute, that's fine. I'll just share a couple of additional thoughts. And emphasize some of the points that Megan just made, which is we have, this isn't true of all business schools, but here at the University of Buffalo in our business school, we have our own dedicated career resources center and a team of people who are cultivating relationships with employers and helping students to prepare to interview. So we work on both sides of that equation. I think that's a tremendous asset. So you'd have access to all of our resources in that area to get a job. I will say that I've had an opportunity on a number of occasions to be talking to people who are, they're professionals at relatively high levels, maybe senior level directors of organizations and so on. And as I describe this new program that we're launching and this master's in management, they get pretty excited about it. I'll just share one anecdote. I was talking to a guy who works for a company out of the Netherlands, but they have a big U.S. presence, and they do a lot of factory automation. So they help to set up like new Amazon warehouses or new manufacturing facilities for Toyota or whatever. And so I'm describing to him this new master's in management, and his eyes were just lighting up. And he said, we cannot find enough people to help us. We need people who are not technical, but that communicate well. To communicate between our executive teams, our customers, and our technical teams. So can you listen to the technical people and take what they're saying and convert it into language that our customers will understand and that our executives can digest and so on? He said we've resorted to hiring people with English degrees and history degrees, and because we can't find enough people with business training. So as I was describing this program to him, he was like getting really excited about the possibility of graduates coming from our program and potentially going to work for their organization. So there's opportunity out there, and I think this program is one that can, accelerate your opportunities and help you launch your career.
Thanks so much, Dr. Maynes. With that, does anyone have any additional questions before we close for the day? I do want to plug.
Hello.
Yes, go ahead, Emmanuel.
I'm Emmanuel.
Hi, what's your question?
Please, thank you for the insight on the course structure. It's very nice course, very good. But my question has to do with we the international students. I had an admission on last month, and then the arrival date is July 6th. By looking at the time frame and then visa acquisition, would there be any way like postponement of arrival date or the extension of arrival date for we the international student? Because the acquisition of visas and then I-20 at times becomes so cumbersome and difficult. Thank you.
Thank you, Emmanuel. Unfortunately, the summer semester is so condensed that
Yeah.
we cannot accept late arrivals for the summer. That's why we indicate in the acceptance letter that you must arrive by July 6th. So unfortunately, we can't accept late arrivals for the summer, but there is still time to, secure your I-20, secure your visa appointment. We have several other programs that begin in the summer, and our students are able to arrive by July 6th. So I think at this point, it's really up to you. If you've already submitted your I-20 materials, they're probably already in process to get that I-20, and then you want to secure your visa. But if you plan on joining this summer, you have to make it here by July 6th.
Okay, thank you for that.
Thank you. And the
Okay.
Office of International Student Services, Kaylee and I both put the link in the chat. Check it out. They provide wonderful resources and tips for helping get your visa. They do wonderful pre-arrival sessions as well. So definitely visit that website if you have not yet done so.
Okay,
Jeremiah,
and
what's your question?
okay, I'm not done. I have another question. Can
Sure.
I go on?
Yes,
Can
go
I go
ahead.
on? And I think last week I had a session with the resource center, and then they told us that those with the MS in supply chain, they are uh, they are on the process of giving us some sort of scholarship by the close of this month. So I want to make an inquiry concern whether that one will be
Well,
possible for
this session
MS.
is for MS and management. So we're really focusing questions on MS and management. But for our MBA and MS programs, we do offer merit-based scholarships. Some of those scholarship awards have gone out. We've now moved on to the second round for some programs. For MS Supply Chain Management, I anticipate we'll have first round offers going out this week.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Jeremiah, I know you had a quick question, and then we're almost wrapping up. So Jeremiah, what was your question?
Okay, thank you very much for the opportunity. I would like to ask regarding the $500 deposit, tuition deposit. I want to ask if it's the same with the service charge, and if one is unable to get visa to attend or to resume, will the $500 tuition deposit be refunded back to the person?
So the
And then I also
$500, go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. Then I also want to know if you are the one that if your office is directly responsible for issuing the 120, just as I wrote in the chat box, I've applied, I've uploaded my I-20 materials, and it's over 3 weeks now. I've not heard anything from them. So if your office is directly involved, if you can help me sort it out.
Sure. So I responded to your message in the chat. Your materials have been sent to the Office of International Admissions, so they are working on processing your I-20. You should have your UB person number and tuition deposit link in about a week, and you should have your I-20 in about 2 weeks. The $500 tuition deposit is required to confirm your seat in the program. We require it across all of our programs. That deposit is applied directly to your student account. We don't keep that deposit. It goes into your student account so you can use it towards tuition and fees. If your visa is rejected for some reason, you would have to show proof that your visa was rejected to get that deposit refunded. Additionally, we do offer that students can defer their admission up to one time, 1 calendar year from the original admit term. So it's also possible if your visa was rejected that you could defer your admission to 2026 if you're admitted.
And then finally, I also want to ask, I just forgot what I wanted to ask. Well, let's see.
Okay. Well,
Okay.
feel free to follow up with an email, Jeremiah, to either, Kayla or myself.
Please, I want to add to what my brother just said
Okay.
about the 500 deposit. It means if I pay and I'm not able to secure the visa, can I be postponed to next year, that's 2026 academic year?
You can defer your admission up to one time, one calendar year from admit term. So yes, if you're unable to secure your visa, then you can defer your admission to summer 2026.
Okay.
Okay, I've remembered my question now. Can I ask it?
Sure, we'll wrap up soon, but go ahead and ask your question.
Okay, I would like you to give me the pattern of payment. I believe you have uh, a pattern of payment for one that wants to pay by installments regarding tuition fee. So if you can kindly tell me.
Sure. You're going to go to the student accounts website, which is buffalo.edu/student accounts. It's also available under the helpful resources tab within your admitted student portal. There's a link to student accounts and the billing and payment plan. So you can find that in your admitted student portal. And Kaylee's also posted the link in the chat. Thank you, Kaylee.
All right, thank you very much.
Okay. Thanks everyone so much. Thank you so much, Dr. Maynes, for providing such great detail on our MS in Management program. We appreciate your interest and attendance today. We'll send the recording out in about a week. If you're not following us on social media, please do attend future events. We do quick Q&A sessions every week. We have weekly information sessions. We have one-on-one appointments. We're pretty active. We have a podcast and a blog. So definitely, if you're not following us, check us out. We appreciate your interest and thank you again for your time today and interest in the UB School of Management and our MS in Management program. Have a wonderful rest of your day or evening. Take care.